touch on nutrition and food.
Are there any squares left?
Yes, there are lots of squares left. I can see, and there's more. You go to
okay, good.
So the squares that I prepared today are really have the components or ingredients that will help you go to sleep. But I would say nutrition on its own, or having a supplement, or all those things on their own do not work. Or they only work so much. Because if you do not have a sleep routine, if you do not exercise, you don't go outside, you don't work on having that habit, no matter how much magnesium you take, no matter how much of these supplements you take, it's not going to work. Nutrition just makes all your good sleep habits or your things you put in place and strategies, takes them to the next level. So it helps, it supports. So there's no magic pill and no magic food, no matter what TikTok says or YouTube or whatever. Honestly, there's nothing really magic. But I will talk about the two things that we really should be paying attention, and then there's a few things that might help. So I'll start with the two things. Let's start with the negative. What are the two things that we do know that really hinder our sleep?
Alcohol.
Alcohol, yes.
Sugar, caffeine.
So we'll talk, and caffeine. So alcohol, most of us, if I drink alcohol, I fall asleep, but I'm kind of sleepy. But actually, the metabolism of alcohol in our body, so the aftermath of drinking the alcohol, does have a negative impact on how well or the quality of our sleep. So yes, we can have alcohol, and I slept like nobody could wake me up, but the quality of sleep is not there. And that's what alcohol is really taking us in a negative, or to the dark side, I guess. But, I'm not saying not drink alcohol. We can enjoy alcohol, but just think about what is the service of that alcohol for you, right? So everybody has different tolerances. As women, in general, we have less tolerance than men, but you never know, right? But thinking about your alcohol consumption and how it plays in your life. Okay, so that's one thing. Second is caffeine. We all think caffeine, it's a stimulant. It actually inhibits a component, a chemical that actually helps us sleep. So it's really a blocker for sleeping. Now, the other thing about caffeine is about dose response. Did you know it takes us about 6 hours, half a life of the caffeine in our body is about 6 hours. So half of the amount of caffeine we took just takes 6 hours to get out of our system. So it takes about 12 hours to get rid of the whole caffeine in our body. It takes time. So if you were like me in COVID, I was one of those people talking to cases that had COVID and following them with public health. I had 5 cups of coffee a day to 6. Oh yeah. I was like, yoo-hoo! But I had so much problems sleeping, and I realized, oh yeah, the accumulation of caffeine is killing me. I could not fall asleep. So really is the amount of caffeine, everybody's a bit different, that can trigger or hinder you trying to fall asleep. So that could be something to think about.
So no espresso martinis?
No, yes, you can. I actually now, I was giving myself a time at 2 p.m., stopped drinking any coffee, but I had already 6 cups by 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was wired. So, and I realized, but why can't I go to sleep? It's 8 p.m. or 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh. And I realized, yes, I have so much caffeine in my body. So now I actually can take an espresso at 10 p.m. and fall asleep. I used to do that. It's just that one espresso, they don't have that much caffeine, and I can go to sleep. Go figure. It's really about the accumulation as well. So that is what kills you. So enough of the negative things. So good thing, we're going to start with actually eating. Diana talked about this, getting yourself nutrients during the day, eating enough during the day. How many of you went to bed hungry and you're like, and you can't fall asleep? I've done that. So if you're nurtured, no, it's okay. If you're doing, the intermittent fasting sometimes, or you're fasting for 3 days, it really takes a toll. You can't fall asleep, really. But during the day, it matters. What you eat, how you eat, have your nutrition during the day will help you go to sleep, really, because then you're going to repair your body after. So it does have some beauties there, making sure you eat and not starve yourself. The other thing that is important, carbohydrates. And I have my old-fashioned little charts here with cheat sheet charts, notes out here. Carbohydrates actually do help you. Studies are showing that are associated with helping induce sleep. And we don't know a lot about it, but we do know that carbohydrates are releases insulin. Insulin also helps absorb amino acids. Now, guess what? Melatonin, which is our hormone that helps us fall asleep when it's dark, the precursor is, what is it? The precursor. Anyway, so amino acid tryptophan is what makes melatonin in the end, right? So if we eat carbohydrates, it will release insulin, which then we can absorb amino acids and tryptophan, and then it will end up having melatonin, right? But it's just very new science in terms of the foods and the nutrients, how it interacts, and how it's so connected that we still are digging and getting to know really how the effects are, but carbohydrates really does help. And so, for example, whole grains, we talked about whole grains last time, or the first session. So oats, barley, even wheat, whole grain, it might be a good night snack to have before going to bed, okay? Actually, so I talked about amino acid tryptophan, which is the precursor to make melatonin. Banana has a lot of tryptophan. So that's something. What's that? Turkey. Oh yeah, turkey, yes. Milk, I'll talk about that, but serotonin is what I'm thinking of. So tryptophan is the amino acid that makes serotonin, and then serotonin becomes melatonin, blah, blah, blah. Too many very scientific.
What's the timing then? Because,
Oh, timing? You don't want to, also the other thing is you don't want to eat a big plate just before going to sleep. So 2 hours is good, maybe, give or take. Maybe a bigger meal, 3 to 4 hours. It depends what you're eating too, because if you're having a big steak with a lot of fat, it will take a long time to digest. So that's going to keep you up. Or heartburn, or trigger acid reflux, right? So carbohydrate, you can even have an hour before, or even 40 minutes before going to sleep. You don't want to have a massive amount of pasta. You can have a few crackers. And my next item, which is lean protein. So lean protein, what do you think of when I say lean protein? Chicken breast, yeah. You can have chicken breast if you want.
Turkey slices.
Turkey, yeah. I'm thinking fish, yes, there you go. So kind of good or better fat, yes. The milk, low-fat milk, low-fat yogurts could be, so I'm thinking of snacks. Just before going to bed might be a good option, okay? From the cheese, mozzarella is the one that has the lowest amount of fat. Soybean. Soybean also has, actually soybean has many things, including magnesium as well. Pumpkin seeds, all the seeds and nuts also are good for before going to bed, because those are leaner fats, okay? And it has tryptophan. Actually, this is when I was preparing for this session. All these foods that I'm talking about have tryptophan, which is that amino acid that is important for getting to melatonin. So that's the other thing you can think about. Also, unsaturated fats. Oh, yeah, question.
Just a question, because you said mozzarella is the best, but how about, sheets and goat cheeses?
Depends on the amount of fat, yeah. Some are fatty, depends, yeah. Because with goat cheese, you do different things, right? There's different types of cheese. So some have more fat, some have less fat. But the goat cheese, the one that you kind of softer, yes, it's a good one. Doesn't have that much fat. Yeah, a little. You want unsaturated fat, and you don't want the kind of the meat-related fat. You want to reduce that, because that will take a little bit more time to digest. Yeah, make sense? And then, so unsaturated fat. So it's all kind of related. Really, the beauty about food is we can study food, but when you start looking at details, I'm going to talk about peanuts, not seeds. It's what the unsaturated fat comes from, right? But they're also lean protein. They also have actually magnesium and tryptophan, which is all interconnected. So I have my cheat sheets here. But for magnesium, so it's showing that it's helping people with sleep, okay? And I'm a true believer that food is better than supplement. And you can get this magnesium in food. We need about 300 milligrams a day of magnesium. But you can get just by a quarter cup of pumpkin seeds or squash seeds, you get the 300 milligrams of magnesium. Yeah.
If we were looking at supplements, there's obviously like magnesium citrate, biglycinate, chelate. Like
Oh my God, yes.
There's all different ones, but some are for GI, some are for stress and sleep. How do we know? And do we have to take also a vitamin D in order to activate? Like
I know. See,
But that's what
need a
I'm.
flow chart.
That's why when you start into supplementation and individual nutrient, it really nobody can guarantee that you're going to absorb it 100%. And there's all add-ons to help absorb it better or whatever, or that it doesn't get destroyed when it goes through the stomach or whatever. So I'm more true believer, focus on food, because food also doesn't just have magnesium. So pumpkin seed also has tryptophan. Brazil nuts, sunflower seeds, soy has magnesium as well, but it also has tryptophan. Spinach, Swiss chard, I have all this dark chocolate. So also has magnesium. Potato with skin. So there's two herbs, sage and basil, or basil, however you say it, will also have magnesium. There's teas, not with magnesium, but teas that help you induce falling asleep. I am really supportive of food, focusing on food, because really we don't know if is it magnesium or is it the foods that have all these things, tryptophan and magnesium, for somehow work in our body, then help us calm down and induce sleep. Now, I'm going to say, after saying all this, you don't really want to just, okay, I'm going to have all these foods that have tryptophan of this amino acid, blah, 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 and I'm definitely going to have melatonin. We're still learning about the process, very complex. It doesn't mean that you have a lot of tryptophan, you're going to end up with a lot of melatonin. It's so complicated how things end up being where they are. We're still learning about that. So eating a lot of these foods doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have more melatonin. So again, making sure we have all our our sleep hygiene in order, looking at our habits, and making sure we have good strategies if we are waking up, and then the food will kind of support all that. And yeah, that's pretty much about what I have with food. So hopefully it was entertaining or
Questions?